Hi, I'm Andrew Joiner. I'm the CEO of Inmoment. Please join me at Silicon Slopes for our breakfast conversation. Now, what's happened in the marketplace is the automating of collecting customer experiences was a good idea since customer experiences are becoming more complex. So now you go to websites, you interact with brands on mobile apps, you go in, you're inside your car. There's a lot of experiences you have with brands, and every business now is hungry to collect that customer feedback, that customer insight. What it turns out is it's a really good signal to businesses. So if you can collect that information, synthesize it, which is not that easy, but if you can synthesize it and turn it back to the business, the people in sales, the people in marketing, the people in operations, even the CEO get really excited about what you can do for their business. We'll go into brands and the CEO will weigh in on the decision making of what vendor to select, and they'll also get really excited about what we do. And so we like to call the market experience intelligence. So if we could derive intelligence from the experiences for businesses, but that's marketing speak. The simple thing is we collect feedback and make it useful for the business.
Very cool. So something cool happened in the spring, in May. Madison Dearborn, capital infusion / acquisition?
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's a very classic private equity firm, but they essentially were so successful at venture investing that they were moving the earnings of a bank. And so they separated themselves into their own dedicated private equity firm and now have a technology fund. So they looked for 2 years across a whole range of companies. It turns out that we were also looking, we had a very complicated cap structure when I came into Inmoment. I had founders, I think basically every dentist and doctor in Utah was an angel investor in Inmoment. And so I offered the opportunity for liquidity. And so it was a really good match. Madison Dearborn wanted for us to expand to the next stage, which was fantastic. So they're bringing a $1.4 billion portfolio behind Inmoment. We're their platform investment in the technology fund. So our discipline now is how to use those funds smartly to grow in this marketplace. But it also offered a really nice liquidity event for people who had invested in Inmoment early on. And so I think it's a great story in 2 ways for you. One, great for founders who can start a business, be able to exit a business in Utah all the way through. They grew profitably, never took venture funding. So a great story for them. And then a great story now that we have a tier 1 private equity firm who's going to put serious capital into this region to help us grow and scale the business.
How are you learning how to interact with those other portfolio companies?
This is recorded, or people? I'll just say it. The private equity community, it's a little bit like the mafia to me, where once you're inside the family, you have to get inside, but once you're inside the family, it's like the family. They put together a network for your chief financial officer to network with other CFOs. They put you inside a network of the CEOs, so the other portfolio CEOs, and they push those companies to invest and talk and to help each other. And what's interesting, for whatever reason, Salt Lake City became the core for customer experience management. With Qualtrics here, with Inmoment, with Merit CX, with CloudCherry setting up shop. There have been a number of customer experience companies that have been positioned in this marketplace. So we're center somewhat in the customer experience marketplace. The other big dynamic is because of the success of those companies in Inmoment, everyone's kind of attached themselves to customer experience. But I do think the results are real. So what is powerful about this marketplace, if you take one of our customers, Nike or Tiffany's, we can actually drive revenue. We can actually detect some pretty interesting things. So for instance, we can actually tell retail stores if they're going to have any type of loss of retail inventory through theft. And we can do that just by listening to feedback. How do you do that? People will have a conversation, or they will give feedback that the employees were disaffected, the employees were huddling. You'll see things where people were not existent. And so just through those sort of weak indicators, we can actually have a very strong signal that you might actually have a problem at this location around theft of your inventory. And so it's the promise of things like that businesses get excited about. And so there's very few technologies that really power a business forward. Salesforce powers your Salesforce forward, or Adobe and their marketing suite can help your marketing automation. But what we do in customer experience touches all of those departments. And so the promise of it being a big category is real. For me, I'm the sad person now, because I take surveys everywhere I go, just to provide feedback and to see what the experience is like. And I'm sure, like everyone, we're all getting somewhat type of survey fatigue. On the other hand, what we provide back to the brands you care about is really valuable. And so I feel like if I can contribute back my experience, will get better if I give it to the brand. I think there's been a big misunderstanding, which I think is what is the power of what Inmoment does, is that before you really thought about the first-party data or I gave feedback, all these companies were trying to infer what my experience was. So that's why everyone was tracking your clicks on websites or watching where you go across brands, versus rather than doing all this inference activity, why don't you just ask the person? Everyone's in a hurry, right? There's a market window, and the competitive dynamics are increasing. And so it's one of those puzzles you need to solve. You want to bring in talent, you want to bring in new investment. How do you use that in a new way? Those are business dynamics. I think that the other big constraint is we're seeing a lot of growth here in Utah where the talent pool is really constraining. It's getting harder to find talent. I start to wonder if we approaching a bubble when I see some of our employees that, as Inmoment's recognition grows, our employees are increasingly getting offers from competitive companies, and some of those offers are outstanding for the employees. The vision long term of all the information we're collecting is, even though if you have 1 million customers come through your store, could you basically have a conversation one-on-one with each one? And certainly in digital formats, that's the illusion, or that's what you want to provide the company, is as if you're having that conversation with those customers.
So thank you, Andrew Joiner. Appreciate it.